You're listening to the first annual Halloween special from the Warning Woods. This is part 2 of a 5-part story that will arrive at its haunting conclusion on October 31st, Halloween. If you missed part 1, be sure to go back and listen to that episode before this one, and subscribe to the Warning Woods on YouTube or your podcast platform so you don't miss any other parts of the story or any of the other stories that are released every week. If you enjoy the story, please consider writing a review to help spread the podcast to more listeners. Thank you, and enjoy part 2 of the Halloween special. I stared at the text from my ex-wife. "He found you. Get out." Anger and confusion dragged on my tired mind. What game was she playing at? It had to be drugs or some kind of psychotic episode that was causing her to behave this way. There was no rational explanation for why she would keep coming over and messing with Claire's art at night. I knew she had to be hiding close. I had come into the hallway too quickly for her to have gotten far. I replied to her delusional warning, "If you don't come out now, I'm calling the police." I froze and listened. The house was quiet enough that I should have been able to hear her phone vibrate. Too much time passed without a sound, which confused me. Had she turned her phone off? Apparently not, because my phone started vibrating and lit up with the photo of her I assigned to her contact. The screen flickered and flashed. I'd never seen it do that before. I had just taken my phone off the charger, so I knew the battery was fine. It went dark again, just for a second. But when it came back on, the photo of Ellie had been altered. Her eyes, her playful blue eyes, had turned black. In the center, where her pupils should have been, were tiny green dots. I stared at the disturbing image long enough to convince myself I wasn't imagining it. The phone stopped buzzing in my hand and went dark. I looked once more through the crack I had opened in Claire's bedroom door. Someone tall and shrouded in shadows was standing near her bed. His large form was blocking my daughter from view. "Claire!" I shouted as I lunged forward. The monstrous person turned to me and I saw 2 green dots where his eyes should have been, just like the photo of Ellie. I slammed into the door only to have it slam me back. It closed hard enough to knock a portrait of Claire off the wall in the hallway. I pounded on the door as I frantically turned the knob to no avail. The door had no lock. He was holding it shut. After one more futile effort to break down the door, I dropped my phone and ran outside. As I dashed to Claire's bedroom window, I picked up a decorative rock from the side of the house. I pounded on the window and yelled, "Get back!" I heaved the rock with all my strength and it smashed through the glass. Claire screamed. I'm sure I heard her scream. The sound of her cries and the adrenaline coursing through my veins made me oblivious to pain. I grabbed the jagged window frame and hoisted myself up through it. As I tumbled into Claire's bedroom, slick with sweat and blood, I screamed, "Get out!" But no one would hear me. The room was empty. There was no green-eyed monster. There was no Mr. Wrinkles or Ellie. And there was no Claire. I checked beneath her covers, under the bed, in the closet, and everywhere else a small child might hide. In complete panic, I started shouting for Claire as I checked under the bed and in her closet again, but received no response. I went to her door, which opened easily now. My phone was on the floor in the hallway. It vibrated across the hardwood with another call from Ellie. When I picked it up, I didn't wait for Ellie to make a sound. "What's going on? Where's Claire?" I demanded. "Where's..." Ellie trailed off and started to cry. "Oh my God, he got her." "Oh, no, 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 I told you to leave," she screamed in my ear. "Ellie, you have to tell me what's happening," I begged. "Who is he? Who is Mr. Wrinkles?" There was a loud knock on the front door. "Police, open up," a man called from outside. I hadn't even noticed Claire's room was glowing with flashing red and blue lights. The police officer knocked again, and I went to the door, worried he might break it down if I didn't open it quickly. The fact that I had blood all over my hands and shirt didn't register until I saw the look on the officer's face as I opened the door. "Get down," he yelled as his hands moved toward his hip. I saw the gun there and dropped to my knees with my red hands raised. "No, officer, I live here. This is my house," I stammered. He rushed in and grabbed one of my wrists, pinning it to my back. He forced me the rest of the way down and cuffed me. As he spoke some code into his radio, I tried to explain that my daughter was missing. He finished his transmission and yanked me upright. "Your daughter?" he asked. I nodded, tears now streaming down my face. "Dispatch, send more units," he spoke again into his radio. "Child at this location is unaccounted for." "Copy, sending more units." The officer returned his attention to me and said, "You'd better start talking." And I wanted to, but what could I say? I didn't understand what had happened, and I knew if I told the officer what I saw, he would think me insane. My salvation came in the form of a text. My phone, which was on the floor between me and the officer, lit up. He picked it up before I could see what the message said, but he read it aloud. It says, "He has her. He showed me. I don't know what to do now." He paused and looked at me with hostile accusation in his eyes. Sirens approached in the distance. "Who has her?" he demanded. I snorted and swallowed a wad of mucus. I pinched my eyes to push out the remaining tears before I looked up at him and said, "Mr. Wrinkles."